Hey folks, thanks for joining me today. We are going to look at how to put trim on a door. Alright, so putting trim on a door is really simple. All you have to do is that's not right. Just kidding. We're gonna actually walk through the whole process. So the first thing you need to do is figure out what you want for a reveal. A reveal is the amount of space from your inside of your jamb to where you want the trim to start. And I usually go 3/16. So you can measure, you can take your tape measure and measure up there 3/16, or you can make a little block, a little jig, and then hold it up there, mark it, if you have a whole lot of them to do. So I have this handy little trim gauge that I got from a friend once, and what I do is I set it to 3/16, and then I'll just hold it up there and mark both the top and the side, and then I'll move it over and I'll do the same thing and mark the top and the side. So trim gauge, pencil, hold it up here, and it works really good when the door is open. So take it, slide it up there, mark the top, mark the side, and I got it all marked out. Now this side is a little difficult sometimes. Most of the times when the door's shut, the door's on, I just go ahead and use my tape measure on this one. But on the outside, where the door is not flush against this frame, you can just put it up there, mark both sides. Okay, so now that we have it all marked out, now I'm going to measure between those marks. So I'm going to take my tape, hold it on one side, stretch it over, and then see where the measurement comes to, and I'm going from my 3/16 mark to my 3/16 mark. And I have 30 and a half. So 30 and a half, hey, little tip, measure twice, cut once. So I'm going to measure 30 and a half again. Yep, 30 and a half is my measurement. And so I'm going to go and cut a 45 on one piece and start with the top. The reason I like to start with the top, I get that piece, cut at 45, then I only have one angle to deal with on both sides of the door, because they're going to go down and touch the floor and be a flat 90-degree cut, and I don't have to do one side and then worry about a 45 here and a 45 here, and then do the other side. You can do the same thing with windows. You can start at the top, 45, and then come down, 45, and then your last piece. So I'm out here set up to cut, and I'm going to put my tape measure right on the inside, because that's what I measured from, the inside. Make sure it's on that inside piece. Come over here to 30 and a half. I'm gonna make my mark, and then I'm gonna make sure I cut it so it's going that direction. Sometimes I'll even go ahead and make a little mark to show which way I need that cut to go, just to remind myself which way it goes. Sometimes you can get to thinking about something else, and then you just go to the saw and make a cut, and it's the wrong angle. Okay, so here we are at the saw. I need to go and rotate to 45 the other way, and I'm going to go ahead and line this up, and I actually like to lift up my blade guard, bring down my saw, and then I like to line that. I like to line up that blade with my pencil line, and that way I know I'm getting a good cut. All right, so you get your piece cut, and then you're going to take your nail gun. If you use a nail gun, you can hand nail it. That's perfectly fine. I've done that in the past. This is easier and faster. So I use a 16 gauge finish nailer to nail in to the actual framing of the wall. So I'm gonna line up, safety first. I'm gonna line up the edge of my trim with my 3/16 line. And I'm gonna check the other side and make sure it looks good. Both sides are looking solid. So I'm going to nail up above here, because I know that is in the header material. And then I'm going to come back with an 18 gauge brad nailer, and I'm going to go from the trim to the door frame. And so I always nail this off with 16 first, then I'll come back with an 18 gauge and nail it from the trim to the door frame. Okay, so now we are ready for our side pieces. So our side pieces are quite a bit easier. I just take my tape measure, put it on the floor, bring it up here, and measure to the bottom of the trim. And it looks like I'm measuring 81 3/16. Again, that's 81 3/16. So here's what you can do, or rather, here's what I do. I'll measure the one side, and then I'll write it down on a piece of scrap shim or whatever. Then I'll measure the right side, and I'll make that measurement. And then I'll go cut two at once, bring them in here, nail them up. Now the easiest way to do this, folks, is to measure off your 90 degree, and then you can mark your angle. So I'm at 81 1/4 on the right side. You have to make sure you know which one you're cutting, because I want it to go this way, because this is the inside, it's the narrower side, and this is the wider side. I'm measuring off the 90 degree cut, so I want it to go this way. Another thing I would advise you folks is when you're doing a bunch of cutting like this, I wear earplugs. That way I don't lose any more of my hearing. We got the right piece cut, now we'll cut the left. 81 3/16. Okay, I could slide this over here and cut it, but actually I want the angle going that way, so I need to change my saw around the other side, then I can cut it. Okay, got both my pieces. Now I'm ready to install them. Okay, so now we have our right and our left We're just gonna go ahead, nail them up the same way. We're gonna use that 16 gauge in the framing, come back with that 18 gauge to the actual door frame. I'm lining up my corners. If I'm off a little bit on my 3/16 mark, that's not that big a deal. As long as my joint looks good and it's not that far off. Right now it's about a 30-second off and I can live with that. When you nail down, you want to make sure you're keeping the same reveal from the trim to the door frame. You want that same reveal from the edge of the door frame to the trim. You want to try to keep that same reveal. I'll go ahead and do the other side as well. So there we go, folks. We have our casing installed around our door. So then once you do that, you can go ahead and put the base around the room, because the base butts up into the casing. All right, folks, there you go. Now you can go ahead and install a casing on your doors and windows, but make sure to work hard, because hard work is its own reward. Thanks for watching.